But for the most part, if you're here, you're looking to make changes in your life. So you've probably had this discovery of, well, okay, so I've done all these things that I was taught would make me happy and would be the things that I ultimately would do in life. I've done many, if not all of those things, and have not found the happiness nor the satisfaction from those things. So
this is the How to Quit Working Show. Jeff Steinman believes entrepreneurship is the only true path to freedom. That's why he created the How to Quit Working Show, where you'll hear stories, insights, and inspiration from lifestyle fanatics who left their soul-sucking 9-to-5 job forever. Now, here's your host, author, entrepreneur, and ultimate lifestyle fanatic, Jeff Steinman.
Hello and welcome to the How to Quit Working Show. We are back with 2016. I hope you've had an amazing holiday break. I know that I had a wonderful couple of weeks on the annual How to Quit Working holiday hiatus. We haven't had a new show since the end of December. And I'm excited to be back with you. I'm excited about all the great things that we've got coming up in 2016 and just starting a brand new year. And that's part of what we're going to talk about today, which is how to start the new year off right. Before we get into that, I'm going to remind you of the How to Quit Working Circle, and that's where you go if you'd like a community of people to help support and encourage you on your entrepreneurial journey. If you would like to join that, and by the way, it doesn't cost a dime, go over to howtoquitworking.com/circle and enter your information, and you will get an exclusive free video training series. You will also get access to our free Facebook group, and you'll also get special offers and great stuff that I only send out to subscribers like you in the How to Quit Working Circle. So head on over to howtoquitworking.com/circle. I look forward to seeing you there. Now let's talk about what I wanted to talk about today. Since this is the first show of 2016, I gotta keep thinking to say that correctly, I thought we'd talk about how to get the year off to the right start. Now, the first thing that I would say is I gave up on New Year's resolutions a long time ago. I just don't think that there's a lot of value in them for a couple of reasons. The first reason is that when you make a New Year's resolution, you subconsciously know. Because remember, as we've talked about many times on the show, most of the thoughts that are going through your head are on a subconscious level, not a level that you can actually recognize. So when you make a New Year's resolution, in the back of your head, you know that something like, there's all kinds of statistics, but something like way upwards of 95% probably of New Year's resolutions don't make it through the month of January. So you kind of are already subconsciously set up for failure because there is just so much failure around that whole thing. That whole thing is just really something that I think generally folks don't really believe that they're going to keep their New Year's resolutions because you've done it many times before. You've seen your friends and family and people do it, and it just doesn't work. And it's just kind of a broken model. It's a great idea in principle, but it just doesn't work in reality. The second reason why I don't like New Year's resolutions is because the reality of it is, if something is really important to you and you really want to do that thing and you really want to commit to that thing, eating better, quitting smoking, starting a business, whatever the heck it is, if it's really important to you, then you should start doing it the day that you decide that it's important to you, not January 1st, right? So if you decide on February 26th that this is an important thing to you, then February 26th is the day that you should start doing it, or July 17th or October 14th, whenever it is. We should always be looking at things, and that's the one thing that I love about talking to the How to Quit Working crowd, is that you are a bunch of folks who are interested in bettering yourself, in having a better life, in doing bigger and more things in the world, and there's just no reason to wait. When you have that mentality and that's your sort of MO going through the world, then you should be always trying new things and doing new things and committing to new things and trying them and seeing if they work out and making adjustments and changes as you go along, not waiting for January 1st to come around. So those are a couple of reasons why I don't like New Year's resolutions, and I don't think that they're useful, and I don't think they're helpful. I don't think you should have one, and I don't have any myself. So let's talk a little bit though about how to get the new year off to the right start, because there certainly is this fun and exciting energy around the start of a new year. The new year it's a brand new year. We flipped our calendars over, and it is a great way to sort of step back. It's a great time to sort of step back and look at what are all the possibilities? What are all the things that I want to do in 2016? So it is a great opportunity, and here's a better way to look at it. The first thing I want to start with is getting really clear on what you really want out of life, because that's so incredibly important. Because generally when we try to do New Year's resolutions and they fail, the reality is it's because they weren't maybe that important to us, or they weren't really providing that fuel and that excitement that we actually need to stick with something that in many cases is probably rather difficult. So you've got to get really clear on what do you really, really want out of life. And don't look at that from the standpoint of I want a business, or I want money, or I want this, or I want that. Look at what is it that truly makes you happy. What is the thing or things that you enjoy doing, and get really creative with those things. Those things don't have to fit into the buckets or the categories that the world and society has defined for you. Those things get to be defined by you. And then you take those things that are really important to you, and then you figure out how to make them work within the constructs of the society that we live in. But you've got to be open and free in your mind and in your thinking to really figure out what you want. Over the holiday, I took a lot of time off. I had a lot of downtime, which really allowed me to sort of mentally reset and think about a lot of things. And one of the things that I thought about was how the older I get, and I just turned 40. I turned 40 a while ago. I'm going to be 41 in March. And I got to thinking about this whole idea that, the older I get, the more I kind of think I have things figured out, right? I mean, I think every person who is intelligent and open-minded, every year of their life, they feel better about what they're doing and where they're going, and feel better about kind of having a grasp on the world and what it really takes to be happy and live the life that you want to live. And I feel like I've made a lot of progress in that arena. And the thing that I think is so interesting about it, though, is when I look back on my 20-year-old self, the older I get, the more my ideas sort of regress back to the way I thought about things when I was 20 or 15 or up to about 25 maybe. I think my ultimate point is that we spend a lot of time in our life learning what we're supposed to do and how we're supposed to do it, the things that we're supposed to do. We're supposed to get a job, we're supposed to get married, we're supposed to build good credit, we're supposed to buy a house, we're supposed to have a dog and a picket fence and all these kind of things. And what happens is as you get older and you achieve those things, then you start to realize that those things really aren't the end-all be-all. They aren't giving you the happiness that you wanted. They aren't providing, they aren't fulfilling you emotionally. They're not making you excited to get up in the morning. Maybe some of them are, but for the most part, if you're here, you're looking to make changes in your life. So you've probably had this discovery of, well, okay, so I've done all these things that I was taught would make me happy and would be the things that I ultimately would do in life. I've done many, if not all of those things, and have not found the happiness nor the satisfaction from those things. So what we then do is we kind of realize that all those rules that we've learned throughout our life are really BS. So we learn a bunch of BS, and then the real value comes in when we reach the point in our lives that we learn that all of that BS that we learned was actually BS. And that what we should have been doing was the thing that we wanted to do in the first place. You know, I study a lot of very successful people. I recently finished reading about Nikola Tesla, who made huge advances in the electrical distribution of electric on a massive basis, which we take for granted today. And one of the things that was so interesting about him, and this is a common vein that you see in a lot of really successful people, is that that was just the thing that he was obsessed with. I mean, from day one, that was what he wanted to do. He had a vision, and it's interesting because his actual vision didn't ever come to fruition and still hasn't many years after his death. But along the way, pursuing that thing that he was so passionate about is what allowed him to create all of these really wonderful technological innovations that, as I said, we take for granted today. But the point is, he didn't stop and say, okay, this is how things are supposed to be done. This is what I should be doing. He said, no, this is what I want to do. This is the thing that I want to pursue, and I'm going to pursue that thing. And what happens for most of us is that we don't take that tact from day one. We take the tact of, we kind of know what that is when we're younger, whatever it may be. And then we learn that that's probably not the right way to go. So we start going in a different direction, which is sort of where friends, family, parents, society in general wants us to go. They want us to follow that path that's been laid out. And then we reach a point where we realize that that was kind of not really all that great. So now we got to go back and do what we really want to do. So I think a couple of things a message that I'm really passionate about delivering is to younger people. I know we have a lot of younger listeners, like in their 20s, and the thing that I would say to you is you can waste a bunch of time pursuing that other path that you have been told is what you should do, or you can just do what you want to do in the first place. Because if you don't pursue that, there's really only two outcomes. The one outcome is that you're going to be really unhappy for the rest of your life. You'll find happiness in certain pockets along the way, but you won't be truly happy and fulfilled if you're not doing that thing. And secondly, at some point, the other thing that could potentially happen is that at some point you realize that pursuing that thing that you wanted to pursue all along was the right decision all along. So you have to sort of unwind and undo all of the things that you've built up in your life and figure out how to get back and pursue that passion that you really had, that you probably knew what it was when you were much younger. So I know that's a long and complicated explanation, but my point is the first thing that you should do in this new year, whether you take action steps toward it or not, is that you should figure out what is that thing that you really, really want to do. What is that thing that you really want to do, but you've got all these voices in your head saying, no, you shouldn't do that because it won't make enough money, or you won't be successful, or you're not as good as XYZ. All of these things that are going through your head, forget about all those things and get really connected with what that thing is that you really want to do. So that's step number one. And you know what it is. If you can't figure out what it is, it's just because there's some chatter or some BS going on in your head that's telling you that you shouldn't be doing it when you actually should. And it's actually the thing that's going to create the most happy and fulfilling life. And by the way, if you are a young person, if you are just getting started in your career, then this is a really, really critical time for you to make that decision and figure out what that thing is that you really want. And I really do believe that you probably know what it is. You're probably just got some stuff going on in your head that's telling you that you shouldn't do it. I hope that by watching this video or listening to this show that you are hearing someone tell you that no, you should actually go and pursue and do that thing that is really, really chomping at you. So number one, figure out what that thing is that you really, really want to do. Number two is take a step towards that thing. It doesn't have to be a big step. It doesn't have to be something huge. You don't have to quit your job and make a bunch of big life changes. You just have to take some steps. Get really clear on what is that next thing that I could do. If you have been really interested in art, maybe that just means spending a day or half a day pulling out your art supplies and your materials and working on that and committing to doing that on a regular basis. Maybe that means just doing some research about a business that you're interested in starting, or maybe that means doing some research on moving to a different part of the country or a different part of the world. Whatever that thing is that's gnawing at you that you really want to do, but you've got all these voices telling you why you shouldn't do it, take some small step towards that. I mean, better yet, take a big step, but if at the very least, take a small step towards that thing that you really, really want to do. Number three is begin to talk about it with people. And this is one of the things that's really scary for a lot of folks, is you've got this idea, you've got this dream, you've got this thing that you want to pursue. Just start talking about it with people and start sharing it with people. And of course, know that you're going to get some objections. You're going to get some people that are going to say, no, you're crazy, you shouldn't do that, you're going to end up broke, it's not going to work, blah, blah, blah. But you've got to be ready for that. And if this thing is really important to you, this is one way to really gauge how important this thing is to you. If it's really, the more important this thing is to you, the less those comments will faze you, right? So when people tell you that you're crazy for wanting to do this or you're crazy for wanting to do that, the more convicted you are in wanting to do that thing, the less that criticism will affect you. And this could be a gauge to determine if you're on the right track, right? So if a bunch of criticism is really frustrating to you and it makes you feel like you want to give up, then maybe that's not the right thing. Because when you really identify that right thing, that thing that you truly want to do and that you truly want to move forward with, then that criticism, it's not that it will never affect you at all, but its effect on you and your desire to do that thing will be less. So I want to just summarize how to make 2016 a great year. And I wanted to give you some really actionable things, actionable and approachable things that you can do that could make a really big difference. So number one, get clear on what is that thing that you really, really want to do that you've been avoiding or putting off or not doing because people tell you that you shouldn't do it. Identify what that thing is and get really clear on it. Number two is take some small step towards that thing. It doesn't have to be huge. It can be huge, and it would be great if it was huge, but it doesn't have to be huge. It can just be something small. It can just be pulling those art supplies out or doing some research or whatever it may be. And then number three is talk about it. Just start talking about it with people and start getting it out there. One of the things that's really amazing that happens is when you start talking about the thing that you really want to do is people begin to identify resources that might help you, either intentionally or unintentionally. Things begin to fall in place. If you say, I'm interested in this, then someone might say, well, I've got a friend who does that too. Maybe you guys would like to connect. Things like that happen, so it's really important. So I don't want you to make a New Year's resolution because the statistics are you're probably not going to keep it. But if you get really in touch with those things that are really important to you, then you're going to make really big progress and you're going to have an amazing 2016. I look forward to bringing you many, many more episodes of the How to Quit Working show in 2016. And I also look forward to seeing you over in our Kickstart program. Now, if you're really ready to get serious about starting a business and you want a roadmap, you want a simple process that completely changes your thinking around from sort of the normal way of thinking to the way of thinking of the most successful people, then Kickstart is for you. It is not expensive. It's under $100. I created it so that people would be able to get in and get that information without spending a ton of money and be able to sort of dip their toe into the world of entrepreneurship and see if it's for them. And if it is, have some really great tools to make amazing progress. I love hearing about the progress and the great things that people are doing in Kickstart, and I look forward to seeing you there. You can get more information about that over at howtoquitworking.com. howtoquitworking.com/kickstart. Again, howtoquitworking.com/kickstart. I look forward to seeing you in Kickstart, and I look forward to seeing you next time on the How to Quit Working Show.
Thanks for joining us on the How to Quit Working Show. Tune in next time when we'll talk to another amazing person just like you who is now living the ultimate life of freedom and doing it on their terms. If you want to learn how to quit working and get these episodes delivered directly to you, visit howtoquitworkingshow.com.